I still remember the first time I saw Emily. She was vibrant and full of life, a stark contrast to the often monotonous routine of my existence. At 45, I had built a successful career as the CEO of Titan Industries, a company boasting 250 employees and generating substantial revenue each year. My life was a blend of board meetings, strategic decisions, and the occasional high profile event. Yet, despite the outward appearances of success, something was missing. Emily was 29, a stark age difference between us, but her energy was infectious. We met at a charity gala, an event I rarely attended unless absolutely necessary. She was volunteering, her dedication evident in every interaction. Our eyes met across the crowded room, and there was an undeniable spark. It was like meeting someone who could see through the layers of my professional facade to the person underneath. Our relationship began with passion and excitement. Emily brought a freshness into my life that I hadn't realized I needed. She was spontaneous, always up for an adventure, and her laughter was something I'd come to cherish. For someone who had spent years climbing the corporate ladder, her presence was a welcome respite from the constant pressures of leadership. However, as the months passed, cracks began to appear in the seemingly perfect facade of our relationship. It started subtly, little eye rolls when I suggested weekend plans or sighs of frustration over minor disagreements. At first, I dismissed them as the normal ebb and flow of any relationship. After all, our age difference meant we were at different life stages with different perspectives and priorities. But soon, the negativity became more pronounced. Emily's demeanor changed when we were alone. Conversations that once flowed effortlessly became tense and strained. She would make snide comments about my decisions, both personal and professional, undermining my confidence. Simple disagreements escalated into full-blown arguments over trivial matters, leaving me feeling confused and hurt. One evening, after a particularly heated discussion about dinner plans, Emily looked at me with contempt in her eyes. "You're so bad in bed," she said, her voice dripping with disdain. "I can't believe I thought you could keep up." Her words cut deep, striking at a vulnerable part of me. It wasn't the first time she had made such a comment, but it was the first time it felt like a personal attack rather than a passing frustration. The most devastating moment came a few weeks later. We were in the midst of an intimate moment when she suddenly blurted out another man's name. My heart sank, and I felt a surge of pain and betrayal. It wasn't just the words themselves, but the way she said them, casually, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I left the room, unable to process the emotions swirling inside me. I went soft in an instant. I tried to talk to her about it, but she brushed it off, saying it was a mistake. But I really think she enjoys it. When she is upset with me, she still uses this to make me insecure. She says things like, "If you can get me off this time, I won't shout another man's name." This has made me not want to have sex with her. As if the personal attacks weren't enough, Emily began to exploit my financial status. She started inviting her friends on expensive trips, lavish dinners, and exclusive events, all at my expense. At first, I thought it was a way for her to enjoy life to the fullest, but it soon became clear that she was taking advantage of my generosity. She spent thousands of dollars each month on herself and her friends, with little regard for our financial well-being. Sure, I can afford it, but it feels very strange to me to throw money around this way. The situation worsened when she purchased a luxury car for one of her friends without consulting me. I felt used and disrespected, but my fear of losing her kept me silent. I had poured so much into our relationship, both emotionally and financially, that admitting the reality of our situation felt like admitting defeat. I was really upset, and we had a fight over this. She says the money is nothing to me, but that is not the point. She just won't understand. I threatened to take away her credit card if she continues with this kind of behavior. Emily's behavior extended beyond our private moments. In social settings, she would often humiliate me in front of her friends. Whether it was mocking my business decisions or making snide remarks about my personality, her actions were relentless. There were nights when I dreaded being at home, knowing that her friends would be over and subjected to her demeaning behavior. I struggled to find the courage to confront her. Every time I tried to set boundaries, she dismissed my concerns, telling me I was being overly sensitive or controlling. The weight of the situation pressed down on me, making it harder to see a way out. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day, Emily and I attended a dinner party with her friends. The atmosphere was tense from the start. Emily seemed more irritable than usual, and I could sense that something was about to go wrong. As the meal progressed, she began to openly criticize me. "Mark, you're so frugal. It's like you don't even want to spend money on anything anymore," she said loudly, earning a few uncomfortable glances from the table. "And honestly, your performance in bed leaves a lot to be desired. Do you even know how to please a woman?" I felt my face flush with embarrassment and anger. The table fell silent, all eyes on us. I wanted to defend myself, to stand up against her verbal assault, but the shame held me back. I excused myself and left the restaurant, my mind racing with thoughts of inadequacy and frustration. When I returned home, I was met with Emily's fury. She was livid, her eyes blazing with anger. "You think you can just walk away from me after everything I've done for you?" she shouted, her voice echoing through our home. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. "Emily, this can't continue. The way you're treating me, it's not right. I won't support this behavior anymore." Her response was explosive. She screamed insults, calling me every derogatory name imaginable. In the heat of the moment, I made a decision that would change everything. I took out an envelope and handed it to her. "It's over," I said firmly, my voice devoid of emotion. Then, without another word, I retreated to my home office and locked the door behind me. For a moment, I stood there, listening to her cries and pleas. It was only when she realized that the envelope contained divorce papers that her demeanor shifted. Her anger turned to desperation as she begged for another chance, explaining how much she loved me and how she wanted to make things right. But I couldn't bring myself to respond. The decision was final. Thus began the painful process of divorce, a journey I had never imagined myself embarking on. The person I had once admired and loved was now someone I could barely recognize. As the days turned into weeks, I found myself reflecting on where things went wrong and how a relationship that once held so much promise had devolved into a source of constant pain and frustration. As the divorce proceedings commenced, the reality of the situation began to sink in. The conversations, once filled with shared dreams and plans for the future, were now dominated by legal jargon and contentious negotiations. It was a stark contrast to the initial stages of our relationship, where every discussion felt meaningful and every disagreement seemed surmountable. Emily's friends, once a source of joy and companionship, became adversaries in this battle. Their unwavering support for her actions made it clear that I was fighting an uphill battle. Each meeting, whether it was at a lawyer's office or during mediation sessions, felt like a reminder of how much I had invested in a relationship that had ultimately led to my downfall. Emotionally, the toll was even more significant. The constant cycle of hope and disappointment eroded my self-esteem. Every time Emily would apologize and profess her love, a part of me wanted to believe her, to give our relationship another chance. But each apology was followed by the same hurtful behavior, reinforcing the painful truth that things would never change. One evening, as I sat alone in my home office, I couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought me here. The weight of responsibility as a CEO, the relentless pursuit of success, and the sacrifices I had made seemed trivial in comparison to the emotional turmoil I was experiencing. The man I had become was one who was deeply affected by the dynamics of his personal life, highlighting the delicate balance between professional success and personal happiness. As days turned into weeks, I found solace in the little things that once brought me joy. Reconnecting with old friends, taking up hobbies I had long neglected, and focusing on self-improvement became essential coping mechanisms. Therapy sessions provided a safe space to unravel the complex emotions tied to my marriage, helping me understand the patterns that led to our downfall. Despite the progress I was making, there were moments when the pain resurfaced, especially during anniversaries or significant milestones. The reminders of what once was served as poignant reminders of the love that had soured. Yet, each passing day I felt a bit stronger, more resolute in my decision to reclaim my life from the shadows of a relationship that had become a source of suffering. Emily's attempts to make amends became less frequent as the divorce process continued. It was clear that she was grappling with her own set of challenges, trying to come to terms with the loss of a relationship she had invested so much into. However, the damage had been done, and the path to healing was one that I had to walk alone. One afternoon, I received a call from my lawyer. The negotiations had reached a critical point, and it was time to finalize the terms of our separation. The conversation was straightforward, devoid of the emotional intensity that had characterized our earlier discussions. It was a reminder that sometimes, in the face of adversity, practicality must take precedence over emotion. As I reviewed the final documents, I felt a sense of closure. The legal aspects of our divorce were concluded, but the emotional healing was just beginning. I realized that moving forward meant letting go of the past, forgiving myself for the things I couldn't change, and embracing the uncertainty of a future that was entirely my own. In the weeks that followed, I focused on rebuilding my life. The responsibilities of being a CEO remained, but with a renewed sense of purpose and a clearer understanding of what truly mattered. I began to prioritize my well being, setting boundaries that I had previously neglected in the pursuit of professional success. Emily, too, seemed to be finding her own path. Our interactions became less frequent, moving from heated confrontations to cordial exchanges. It was a slow process, but I could sense a shift in her attitude, an acknowledgement of the hurt she had caused, and a tentative step towards healing. One evening, as I sat in my home office reflecting on the past months, I felt a sense of gratitude for the lessons learned. The experience had been painful, but it had also been transformative. I had discovered strengths I didn't know I possessed and had gained a deeper understanding of what I truly wanted in a relationship and in life. Looking back, I realized that my relationship with Emily had been a catalyst for profound personal growth. It taught me the importance of self-respect, the value of setting boundaries, and the necessity of prioritizing my own happiness over external expectations. While the journey had been arduous, it ultimately led me to a place of greater self-awareness and resilience. As the months continued to pass, I found myself embracing the changes that came with the end of my marriage. The support of friends, the guidance of therapy, and my commitment to personal growth became the pillars that held me steady. I looked forward to the future with a sense of optimism, ready to embrace the opportunities that lay ahead. Life, as I knew it, had irrevocably changed. The dissolution of my marriage to Emily was not just the end of a relationship, but the beginning of a new chapter filled with challenges and opportunities for self-discovery. Navigating this transition required patience, introspection, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about myself and the dynamics that had led to our separation. One of the most significant realizations during this period was the impact of age and life stage differences on our relationship. At 45, I had established a stable career, a comfortable lifestyle, and a clear sense of identity. Emily, on the other hand, was 29, at a point in her life where exploration and self-definition were paramount. Our differing priorities and expectations created a disconnect that was difficult to bridge, ultimately contributing to the strain that led to our downfall. In the aftermath of our separation, I found myself reevaluating my approach to both personal and professional relationships. The demands of being a CEO often left little room for vulnerability, and I had become adept at compartmentalizing my emotions to maintain a facade of control and composure. However, the challenges of my marriage had revealed the importance of emotional openness and the need to address issues head-on rather than allowing them to fester beneath the surface. Therapy played a crucial role in this journey. Through regular sessions, I began to unpack the layers of my emotions. Understanding how my career-focused mindset had influenced my relationship with Emily, I recognized patterns of behavior that had contributed to our conflicts, such as my reluctance to assert boundaries and my tendency to prioritize work over personal well-being. These insights were both humbling and empowering, providing me with the tools to foster healthier relationships in the future. Reconnecting with old friends and family members was another essential aspect of my healing process. In the hectic pace of my career, I had neglected many of the relationships that had once been a source of joy and support. Rediscovering these connections brought a sense of balance and reminded me of the importance of a strong support network. Friends offered perspectives that I had overlooked, helping me see the situation more clearly and encouraging me to take the necessary steps toward self-improvement. As I delved deeper into self-reflection, I began to understand the importance of self-worth and the need to cultivate a strong sense of identity independent of my professional achievements. Being a CEO had provided me with a sense of purpose, but it had also come at the cost of personal fulfillment. I realized that true happiness could not be found solely in career success, but in the quality of my relationships and the ability to connect with others on a meaningful level. In the workplace, I became more attuned to the dynamics of my team and the well-being of my employees. The experience with Emily had taught me the value of empathy and the importance of fostering a positive work environment. I implemented changes aimed at improving communication, encouraging collaboration, and ensuring that my employees felt valued and supported. These efforts not only enhanced the company's performance, but also created a more fulfilling and enjoyable work atmosphere for everyone involved. Despite the progress I was making, there were still moments of doubt and lingering sadness. The memories of my time with Emily, both the good and the bad, resurfaced unexpectedly, reminding me of the complexities of love and the fragility of human connections. However, I learned to approach these emotions with compassion, allowing myself to grieve the loss of the relationship while also recognizing the growth that had come from the experience. One significant turning point came when I decided to embark on a solo trip, a journey I had always postponed due to the demands of my career. Traveling alone provided an opportunity to disconnect from the stresses of work and the emotional baggage of my past relationship. It was a chance to explore new places, meet new people, and gain fresh perspectives on life. During this trip, I found solace in the simplicity of everyday moments. Whether it was watching a sunset over a tranquil beach, savoring a delicious meal at a local restaurant, or engaging in conversations with fellow travelers, each experience contributed to my sense of renewal. The solitude allowed me to reconnect with myself, fostering a deeper understanding of my desires and aspirations. Upon returning home, I felt rejuvenated and more determined to continue my path of self-improvement. The clarity gained from my travels empowered me to make meaningful changes in my life, both personally and professionally. I began to prioritize activities that brought me joy, such as reading, hiking, and spending quality time with loved ones. These pursuits provided a healthy balance to the demands of my career, enhancing my overall well-being. As time went on, the intensity of the emotional pain associated with my divorce gradually diminished. The memories of the arguments, the public humiliations, and the sense of betrayal became less overwhelming, replaced by a sense of acceptance and resilience. I realized that while the experience had been painful, it had also been an opportunity for profound personal growth. One evening, as I sat on my porch reflecting on the journey I had undertaken, I felt a sense of gratitude for the lessons learned. The challenges of my marriage had forced me to confront aspects of myself that I had previously ignored or overlooked. They had taught me the importance of self-respect, the value of open communication, and the necessity of setting healthy boundaries in all my relationships. In the months that followed, I continued to build upon the foundation of self-awareness and personal growth. My relationship with my employees flourished, marked by mutual respect and collaboration. My friendships deepened, grounded in genuine connections and shared experiences. Most importantly, I developed a stronger sense of self, unencumbered by the expectations and pressures that had once dominated my life. Looking back, I recognize that my marriage to Emily was a pivotal chapter in my life, a chapter filled with both heartbreak and invaluable lessons. It taught me that true happiness cannot be sustained by external achievements alone, but must be nurtured through meaningful relationships and a deep understanding of oneself. As I move forward, I carry these lessons with me, committed to living a life of balance, authenticity, and fulfillment. Jake, whom I had mentored during my divorce, had become a key player within the company. His innovative ideas and entrepreneurial spirit were invaluable assets, driving several successful projects that propelled Titan Industries to new heights. Watching his growth and success was a source of immense pride, affirming the impact that mentorship and support can have on an individual's career trajectory. Outside of work, my commitment to personal growth remained steadfast. I continued to explore new interests and hobbies, each providing a unique avenue for self-expression and fulfillment. Photography, in particular, had become a passion that allowed me to capture the beauty of everyday moments, transforming the mundane into something extraordinary. My portfolio grew, eventually leading to a small exhibition at a local gallery, an achievement that filled me with pride and satisfaction. Hiking trips became a regular escape, offering both physical exercise and mental clarity. The challenges of the trails mirrored the obstacles I had overcome in my personal life. Each summit reached serving as a metaphor for the personal victories I had achieved. The serenity of nature provided a perfect backdrop for reflection and introspection, reinforcing the lessons I had learned about balance and resilience. Just when everything was starting to settle down, when I was beginning to let go of everything that had happened, I received a text message. Of course, it was from Emily. It was a short text. "Hi, how are you? I hope everything is good. I was sitting and thinking about you in my solitude and thought I would reach out. It's been a long time since we last talked." I thought to myself that it was mostly insults at the end and that there wasn't much conversation. She continued, When we broke up, I started studying a bit, and now I'm a mid level manager at a hotel. Not exactly the same lifestyle I had when I was with you. What is this really about? Why is she texting now? She wrote, I've gained a different understanding of money now. I understand why you were upset when I spent the way I did. It was sad that it took so much for me to understand it. I replied, being forced to divorce you was the worst thing I've gone through. The money was one thing, but the way you treated me was the main reason. She texted back. Emily's response came quickly. I know, and I'm so sorry for how I treated you. I was immature and selfish. I've done a lot of growing up since then. The way I behaved was inexcusable. I stared at my phone, a mix of emotions swirling inside me. Part of me wanted to ignore her message, to protect the peace I had fought so hard to achieve. But another part was curious about her apparent change of heart. After a long pause, I replied, I appreciate your apology. It's been a difficult journey, but I've learned a lot about myself in the process. Emily texted back, I'm glad to hear that. I've done a lot of soul searching too. I realize now how much I took for granted and how poorly I treated you. If I'm completely honest, I loved being married to you and I was devastated during the divorce. I still am. I love the way you took care of me, mentally, financially, and physically. Emily, you mocked my ability to take care of you. Don't you remember what you said? I asked her, feeling the knot in my stomach as I thought about her words. I loved making love to you. I shouldn't have let my mood get the better of me and say that you were bad in bed, because that wasn't true. I miss doing those things with you. My jaw dropped. Why is she saying this? Is she trying to manipulate me now? I realized I needed to end this conversation. Emily, this conversation is making me uncomfortable. I can't have these kinds of discussions with you. Are you in a relationship with a new woman? She asked. No, but the time when you and I could talk about these things is long gone. I've worked hard to let go, and I don't want to end up back at square one. My phone buzzed. It was a nude photo of her. I quickly closed it and blocked her. She was trying to pull me back, to drag me into the misery I had once escaped. But now it was enough. I didn't need this anymore. This was the last time I heard from her. Finally, I was free.
If you liked this story, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up. It helps a lot, and you won't miss out on any future stories. Take care and live your best life.